Welcome to Navigate STL Schools, a podcast. My name is Anastasia Allen. I'm sitting here with Zasmine Johnson. How are you today, Zasmine?
I am good. How are you?
I am great. So we start off every episode asking the same question. Tell us about your K-12 education story.
Growing up, I was in, let's see, let me try and remember it all. Like, before officially registering to school, it was the who do you know? Like, the people at church watch you. They do all that. But my mom was an educator, so she would send packets for me to complete. And if I didn't complete them, that was just not the day that's not how you wanted your day to go. But then starting in elementary, I went to private school, North County Christian. They're still running. They're on like Dunn Road. So went there up until middle school. And if you let me tell it, I'm the reason why I went from private school to public school, because I told my parents, I want to do more. I want to see more people. I want to know more people. I'm sure the tuition was probably, tuition for 3 kids in private school ain't no joke. So I'm sure that probably was the real reason, but I like my version better. And then I went to Hazelwood Central High School for all 4 years of high school.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. All right. So tell us what you do and what inspires that work.
So I am the program manager for Blueprint for Summer, and so I am responsible for curating a lot of information, a lot of data around summer camps. I'm responsible for sharing that information, and then I'm also responsible for taking that data back and to the people that run summer camps, and how do we make summer camp better in the St. Louis region. So we host camp summits, we host professional developments. One of the series that I was most excited about was anti-racism in summer camp, because that was not something that I had seen before, but that summer camp is a great place for racism to thrive if you don't nip it in the bud and shut it down. And so having that series and having people be able to provide input and really see the changes was one of my biggest, I was proud of that moment. So basically just combining this use of family data and summer camps, and how do we take that information and make the summer a better place. And so that speaks to my passion of making sure that people who need the resources actually get the resources. And so I think that was fueled by growing up. I was raised in a 2-parent loving household. So resources were not in short supply for me. My parents were always there to make sure that I had everything I needed. And so growing up, there was a time in which I thought that was the case for everybody. And I learned that it was not. And so being a person coming from that level of privilege, being able to say, I know how things work. I was privy to that. I had a great family. How do I then take that knowledge and that resource and those resources and get them to people who need them the most? And so finding out that this opportunity was available really spoke to me, because I was like, this is literally being a convener and a connector to resources.
That is amazing. I think a lot of people might not even know what Blueprint for Summer is. So before we dive deeper in, can you tell everyone what Blueprint for Summer is?
Yeah, so we are just a free website that helps parents and families find information about summer camps. So parents can go on and search by type. They can put in their keywords. And we know that there's a lot of information that is important to parents, like how far is it from my job? How far is it from work? How much does it cost? When does it run? Does it offer before and after care? So you can add all those things into our site, and we'll show you all the summer camps that meet your search criteria.
Oh, so like Navigate STL Schools, but for camp.
It's like this was a match made in heaven. Yes, ma'am.
So what's one of the greatest challenges that you think parents, particularly city parents, have when it comes to finding summer camps for their kids?
I think there's one, not knowing where the programs are, and then sometimes maybe a perceived barrier of, I can't afford this type of camp because it's very specific, or I can't get there, or really that there's no information out there, or there's no programs out there. And so I think the lack of connection to information is one of the biggest barriers that we see. So I go out to community events and programs. People are like, oh, I've never heard of you. Oh, I didn't know there was a summer camp that's around the corner from me that I can afford. And so I think that that's usually the biggest struggle. And then the second one that I would say is that sometimes we see parents and families who are juggling a lot of things. And so there are some parents and families who can start in January and book it out and plan 8 weeks, and they have the financial freedom to do that. Other people do not. And so I think that one of the biggest barriers is that sometimes parents and families in the city, and this is what our data shows us when we look at when people start searching, and where are they searching from. Those searches happen closer to summer, and so sometimes that means that some programs are already full, or they've already ran their scholarship process, and so there aren't any scholarship dollars left. So I think that can be it, and just not knowing that there are some great resources that are around that they can take advantage of.
For summer camp scholarships?
Yeah.
So what would you say would be the best time for parents to start searching or inquiring about those scholarships? And is it like a camp by camp scholarship, or is it like something that they can find at Blueprint for Summer?
Yeah, so you can definitely search by if scholarships are available on Blueprint for Summer. And I always tell parents and families, start as early as possible. Start reaching out, start having those conversations, because a lot of the program providers are humans too. I think sometimes when we go through these processes in life, we think the person on the other side of the phone has no compassion, no empathy. They don't know what's going on, and in reality, they are your neighbors. They are people in your community. So as early as you can to start thinking about summer camp programs, get in contact with them. So if you have a kid that's very interested in robotics and they want kind of more that advanced course, you might say, oh, Maryville or SLU, and then you reach out to them and say, my child is really interested in this and I would love to enroll my student. What do I need to do to become a part of this process? Do I have to start earlier? Is there a payment plan? Like, how do we work through this? So really just reaching out and finding those programs and then just asking the questions. The only thing they can say is no, or they could say yes. And so just as soon as possible, start figuring out what you want to do, what you want your kids to do, and then what does that process look like to get them enrolled.
So you said you have a lot of data from families. What's the most like requested type of camp?
Yeah, so we've done a family survey for a couple years. We didn't do it this year, but the past 2 years, especially when COVID started. And we've seen now a shift to an academic piece. So they can search by as many parameters as possible, when most parents use about 4. And so what we saw was that even if they were looking for a sports camp, they were also searching academics. And so adding that piece that we know the virtual learning really took a toll on our students. So making sure they were looking for programs that in their description they could say, oh, well, they're doing reading and they're doing all of this other academic remediation on top of whatever the topic is that they're looking for. So it was really that academic piece that kind of came through last year.
So outside of the academics, what else has changed about camp since COVID?
Yeah, so I think the biggest change that a lot of people didn't anticipate is that a lot of the same camps are running, but they're running at smaller capacities. And so when we think about our large programs like the YMCAs, the Boys and Girls Club, these organizations that we typically think like don't necessarily have like capacity limits, they had to start putting those. And so camps are filling up faster. And so we know that parents and families have to get on that. And so the capacity restraints, and then a lot of camps this year are having a staffing issue. So even if they had could run like 10 summer camps in the summer, but they only have the staff for 6, and those 6 are at a lower capacity, those camps just fill up faster. And so camps are really trying to like get staffing and make sure that they can meet those capacity limits. So I've been telling parents and families, like, if you have older students and you don't quite know what they want to do, tell them to work at a summer camp. You could have all your family in one spot. One of them's working because they think they're too good for summer camps. You have an amazing program for your other students. But yeah, the staffing and the capacity has been probably the biggest change since COVID.
You mentioned a training that you guys had done with camp providers earlier this year. What other ways does the Blueprint for Summer team actually work with summer camp providers? Yeah,
so we do the North County Summer Camp Fair, and so that came from, I attended a lot of events for summer camps that were for parents and families, and a lot of them were like way out west. And so they were great opportunities, but if you can't get there, then those are no longer accessible to you. So we decided to have the North County Summer Camp Fair. We are in our third or fourth year with that. So we partnered with the Ferguson Florissant School District. We have summer camps come out, parents and families come out. So we offer the summer camp providers a way to get in touch directly with families in North County and the city that they may not have already had access to. We have our Camp Summit, which is where we bring together summer camp providers, stakeholders, and we talk about, this is a map of where all the summer camps are. And here is where we see all the searches, and there is a big discrepancy. So it's time to partner, it's time to move, it's time to do more. If there are 12 camps within a 5-mile radius, maybe that's the reason why your camp is not always full. Maybe if you think about moving it to an area of high need, then your program could be more successful. And so we provide those types of things. We do, even within our Camp Summit, sessions around like how to do STEM on a budget. I think even camp providers have this idea that STEM is super expensive, and it's like, these are the things that you can build with students. So they taught them how to build like a rocket out of like cardboard boxes, toilet paper, tissue rolls, and a box fan. Like, it was amazing to see that. And so providing those types of opportunities where camps can figure out, how can I make my program better? How can I partner with people? We've been kind of a convener with the St. Louis City Youth Development Collaborative, so making sure that programs who want to have other STEM programming or really just partner with other organizations have a space to do that. And then we also provide scholarships directly to summer camps that they can provide to parents and families. So we're currently in the process of distributing the 2022 scholarships. So just making sure that children and family in the city and North County have access to these programs.
You made a really good point. A lot of times summer camp is seen as a wealthy thing or a white thing, and a lot of people, inner city people, people of color, don't feel like it's something that their kids are able to do or that they should do, because they can go to family's house or they could go, visit grandma and grandpa. What are the benefits to summer camp, and particularly for inner city youth and things like that?
Yeah, so we know that over the summer there's this thing called the summer learning loss that occurs when students are not engaged in between school years. And so that causes them to, when they return, they aren't starting at the same level in which they left. They're actually falling further behind. And so summer camp in general, no matter what type of program you go to, has an effect on that summer learning loss. So even if you're thinking about sports that they're playing, if they're thinking about the reading that they do, so like the YMCA is a good example. No matter what program you attend, they have 30 minutes of reading a day incorporated into their programming. And so there are a lot of things, whether they're cooking, whether they are doing arts, those are things that keeps their mind stimulated and going, and there are academic concepts infused into that, so that keeps their mind active so that they don't fall behind. So summer camp is definitely something that can be utilized, even if we're talking about just in general keeping kids on track, or even to propel your students. So if they have these passions that they can't quite get into during the school year, the summer is a great time to be able to do 2 weeks of intense robotics or intense arts, and just being able to hone their skills and do more. So yeah, I think that summer camp is definitely important, and I think we're seeing now that like city officials and other stakeholders are finding that important, which is why they are having more free summer camp programming available starting this summer. So I think that the importance of summer is really shining through, and people are understanding like, we can take advantage of this time to send my kids to a program that they can benefit from.
Are the free programs through the city also listed on your website?
They will be. So the awards for that just got announced last week, so they will be listed, but they are also listed on the St. Louis City Youth Development Collaborative website, which is run through the city of St. Louis. And so they will be listed, and we'll be promoting them out and sharing them, but yes, they will be.
Awesome. So as an organization, Navigate STL Schools is sponsoring summer camps this summer, because we realized exactly what you said, just all of the different benefits for families and then some of the challenges that they're facing outside of staffing. What do you think is one of the bigger issues that summer camps might face?
Yeah, so I think the capacity issue, and then trying to make sure that they are reaching the parents and families that they need the most. So a lot of times camps will say they're getting a lot of an influx in registrations in May, but they don't have the spaces, but they know those students are the ones that need the summer camp programming or need somewhere to go. And so I think trying to figure out, how do we tap into parents and families early enough to where we can make sure that kids are getting enrolled in great programming, that you're not for a parent on the parent end, that you're not scrambling at the end, you're not being stressed, you're not running all over the city trying to find anything. So just trying to figure out, how can we make these processes as smooth as possible and make sure that we're getting to the right students and families.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I'm also super curious, like, what is your best, like, summer camp or, like, summer memory?
Oh, let's see. I was always pretty involved in sports, and so honestly, for me, if I got a week off during the summer from like sports or from my mom printing out them packets, like there used to be, I don't even remember what they're called, but they were these thick booklets that had like academic activities, and they were labeled by like day of the summer, and like it was like day 1 you do these 12 pages. So like for me, summer was, it was a bit intense, honestly, but my mom always made sure that we were engaged, so she was basically running our little summer camp program in between all the people at the church. So I didn't have to go to summer camp because my mom made sure we did not miss out on anything. So I think our family vacations are probably my biggest thing, because that meant I didn't have to do the packet.
Yeah.
I did not have to.
I think we might have had the same mom. I think
We-
between packets and vacation Bible school,
Yes.
they might have went to the same
Oh.
parenting class at one point.
You know, I think a lot of parents did, because we're not the only ones. We can't be.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing. You want to drop the Blueprint for Summer website so everyone knows where to find you guys?
Yeah, to start searching, you can go to stl.blueprint4.com.
Oh, and then when, if it's too late maybe for this summer, but when do you guys start updating summer camp so that our listeners can start putting it on their calendars?
Yeah, we start uploading in December, because there are some programs who they just have their information ready to go by then, and then we just keep adding. I'm still adding to this day, so you can always search and find information, but we start pretty early, so you can start as early as you're ready for.
And then are there any socials that they should look at to make sure that they can keep on top of the info?
Yeah, so we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, and we're on Twitter. Facebook is Blueprint for Summer, STL. Twitter is Blueprint for Summer, STL. And our Instagram is also Blueprint for Summer, STL.
And that's with the 4, right?
With the 4.
All right. Thank you so much, Zasmine. Have a great day.
Of course, you
Thank
too.
you guys for listening.